From Julio Cruz and Gaylord Perry to Alvin Davis and Harold Reynolds to father and son back-to-back bombs. From Junior J, Joey, and Edgar with Randy, A-Rod, Dan, and the Sheriff to Ichiro Moyer and Mikey C to King Felix, Kyle Cruz, and Cano to the present with Julio, Gilbert, Kirby, and Cal. I don't believe it. It just continues. My, oh my, it's another sports podcast. My, oh my, it's another sports podcast. And of course, my, oh my, it has been an up and down week for our beloved Seattle Mariners. You know we're going to rep this team from every corner of this beautiful country, from Nashville, Tennessee, down to Albuquerque, up to Little Lake Stevens, up in Alaska, if that's where you watch from, and of course, everywhere in between. Got to give a huge shout out to my main man, Indy, out of Nashville. He's our super producer running the ones and twos, the brains behind this operation. We cannot do it without him, so we thank him so much. I want to give a huge shout out to my co-host that is absolutely off the hook, incredible, and on fire 24/7. But this dude is making sure the supply chain stays together. He is out in the middle of nowhere right now. But even more so, happy birthday to my dog, RG. I miss you, brother. Can't wait to get you back on the mic with me. And then stepping into the on-deck circle, he is pinch hitting for us tonight. I want to give a huge shout out to Volunteers and Cincinnati Reds fan, Blake. How you doing, brother?
Doing good, Tyler. It's great to be here. I'll say that is an awesome Seattle Mariners hat to look at while we talk. No, man, I like that. Oh, man, that's cool. I didn't even see the American flag on the shirt.
Let's go. Cool. Let's go. It might be a divided country at times when it comes down to a huge political campaign and election year. That's one reason we love sports. We can put all that bullshit aside, get together, care about each other, because the people is what makes this thing work. But I just want to get started by saying it's been a crazy week as a Mariners fan. The week started out and we were higher than the peak of Mount Rainier, and it ended lower than the depths of Puget Sound. Obviously, our hitting was phenomenal against dudes that maybe shouldn't be in the major leagues. It sure as shit came back to earth when we played some real major league pitching again. It pains me to lose 3 out of 4 to the damn Anaheim Angels, who I always want to talk shit about. But let's start with you, Blake. What is your outlook on the week so far? And then take it one step further after that. Any correlation from the week to the first half of the season?
So, the Reds last year, if you're looking at last year, what they did, it was kind of the complete opposite of this year. They in the first couple of weeks of the season, they were pretty putrid and terrible until we called up some guys, starting in month 2, and then they kind of hit a stride and a good win streak. But then after that, they fell off in the middle of the year. This year, they were strong first 2 weeks, and then they fell off. But this week, it's just kind of the same old kind of same old. They started out good. They won first two against the Marlins, but then they dropped one today to them. But it's crazy. Like, they swept the Yankees maybe a couple of weeks ago, and then they'll go and drop a few games to the Detroit Tigers, and drop 3 straight to them, who are having a pretty decent year. But the Rockies have their number. And it's just, crazy. I was telling Elias earlier, I think they're 4 or 5 games over 500 against teams that are over 500. And they're about 6 or 7 games under 500 against teams that are under 500. So it's just wild. They play to their competition. So that's kind of been the theme the last couple of years once they, get off their peaks and valleys.
Okay. I mean, at least from a Northwest perspective, the Reds have so many quality young players that kind of convinced that it'll be up and down regardless. I mean, we see that in Seattle right now. Julio Rodriguez is as talented as it gets. His first 2 years were phenomenal. And until basically 2 weeks ago, it's been a completely underwhelming season for our superstar center fielder. I just want to take a quick shout out and time out here because that's my fault. I want to give a huge shout out to the live chat, YouTube Live, Twitch Live. But we cannot do this show without the people. It's a people's show. We want to be the most interactive show in the game. That's our goal. So shout out Sunday Evening Media, Emmett Brown, Mariners Lifer, Texas Power Ranger, anybody I missed. Thanks for rolling in. Emmett Brown, I don't think we suck, but this team is obviously extremely flawed. And I just want to give you mad props, Emmett, because Scott to service, man, you know I like that dude, but that shit is golden. A plus on the joke. What's up, Texas Power Ranger? I just wanted to look at the Mariners in totality so far. This week honestly pissed me off. Usually I'm a pretty level headed fan, but it pissed me off because you gotta go and take those from Anaheim. God damn it, this isn't Angels in the outfield. But the Mariners, 52 and 46. We're a Jekyll and Hyde team still. We're 30 and 18 at home, 22 and 28 on the road with a plus 19 run differential. Here's the key: we are 19 and 14 in one run games. We have played the second most one run games in all of baseball and have the most one run wins. And all of this includes three straight one run losses to end the first half of the season against Anaheim. It really sucks because my boy, who I've been really praising this year, Austin Voth, has given up a walk-off homer and a go-ahead homer in 2 of the last 3 days. But I can't put it all on him though. Did he get touched up in the most critical of moments? Obviously. But the team only scored 8 runs in the 3 losses, including 23 left on base, with at least 5 times leaving the bases loaded. Your hitters have to help out the pitching a little bit. Thank God we have the All Star break coming up because I think my boy Voth might have been running on fumes a little bit. He was signed to be maybe a sixth to seventh or eighth starter, long reliever, low leverage, and because of injuries and he's honestly pitched well, he's gotten way more high leverage situations. So hopefully this All-Star break will be good for him. But Indy, we haven't heard from you, our super producer. What are your thoughts on the first half and then the week in general?
I mean, like you said, the first half has just been Jekyll and Hyde. We've seen an offense that can be elite and electric, and we've seen one that looks like it's just not a major league offense at all. We've had a pitching staff that has been consistently incredible across the board. I mean, a few bad outings here and there, every staff does, but like to waste such an outing like we did tonight from Logan, man, that just hurt because it encapsulates the whole season. Like we've had incredible pitching, and either the bullpen can't hold it down or the bats can't keep it up. And somewhere along the line, we're going to have to find consistency in one or both of those facets. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to make that push when it comes to the end of the year and playing deep into October. So it's I mean, it's hopeful, but it's also disappointing at the same time. It's hard to put your feelings into thoughts, especially when you're a Mariners fan that has seen consistent letdowns that have just fallen just short so many times over the years. And man, you just want to see consistency. You just want to see that. It gets tiring, but with that being said, I do have a lot of hope, especially in the young guys like Bliss and Julio. And I mean, Cal's not old; he's pretty damn young, and he's a fucking beast. Like Robles has been, or however you say his name, has been honestly pretty solid. He's excited me a little bit. with just the bat that he's brought, his base running. Like he had some nice base running today that put us or gave us our second run, right? If I'm not mistaken. And like that type of stuff is encouraging. Don't get me wrong, but an overall product, we had what, a 10-game lead in series against how many losing teams that we've just flopped one after another. Series, or the series in Florida, or the 2 series in Florida, we flopped. Like the Angels should have been a walk in the park for us. Flopped. Like we have to. The elite teams show up against bad teams and kick their ass. You know what I mean? Like that's what elite teams do. We're not there yet.
I got a question for you, Blake. Is it possible to make a serious playoff run if your team is completely lopsided pitching to hitting?
I would. It depends on how lopsided. I mean, if you just have, if you've got, prime Tim Lincecum back there with, not a lot of help, then, potentially, but it just kind of depends on, you have to have some kind of offense, especially today, really. I mean, you have to have offense just because the bats are so much better today than they really, I mean, as far as like contact goes, and batters are so much better. But I would argue that pitchers are just as good. So I would say pitchers still control the game. So you have a better chance if it's lopsided that way. But if you don't have pitching, I think it's harder to have a lot of bats but no pitching, because anybody can have a bad night batting, and it doesn't take that many bad nights for you to lose a series and make deep runs.
Yeah, I hear that. I think Mariners fans should really be aware of that too if you are old enough, because if you go back to the 90s and the early 2000s, we had some of the most devastating lineups I've ever seen in my entire life, and we could barely do anything in the playoffs. There was many years we had the best lineup in baseball and didn't make the playoffs altogether because we had one good starting pitching or one good starting pitcher. Randy Johnson, one of the greatest lefties ever, top few, but you need a whole staff plus a bullpen to really do damage. I want to give a shout out to K Red Eyes. What's up, bro? Good to see you back. Hashtag fire service. He's been below average his whole career. I'm a service supporter, but that's because I look at everything in totality. But like I mentioned last week, you can only ride a horse for so long. Sometimes relationships gotta come to an end. And I guess my only issue is I don't know if a midseason change will help this team as much as if we get some legitimate hitting in the lineup. So that's a really tough one for me, but I couldn't agree more. Gregory Santos, I was all over this dude when we traded for him. He is more electric than I even recall. So I texted Indy the first time he came in there for us a few nights ago, and he put 2 low 90s sliders right at a dude's head. I mean, you really want to dig in? You really want to dig in low 90s sliders at your dome? Then he's coming in low 100s after that. Dude, that's that shit I'm talking about. We got Andre Munoz also. What's up, Emmett Brown? He wants to get the All Star Munoz jersey. And that's the shit I'm talking about, man. I was so excited for the Mariners, and the bullpen was a huge reason. Because of injuries, guys have gone into leverage situations that we did not want them to. That's baseball. That's sports. You got to step up or you're going to fall off. But man, if you got Munoz, if you got Santos, if you got Stanek, I mean, Brash, of course we wanted Brash. Well, we're not going to see this dude for another year at best. So let's just wipe that clean. But this could be 3 dudes. Maybe we even have Carlos Vargas coming up because I've been pounding the table to bring Vargas up. What if we have 3 dudes throwing freaking triple digits, or 4 guys, 3 for sure? Dude, do you really want to mess with this bullpen at the end of the game? But Blake, I want to just tell you how lopsided it's actually been in the first half. The Mariners pitching staff is third in ERA. We're first in WHIP. We're second in strikeout to walk ratio. We are first in opponent's OPS. The only weakness, and it's still middle of the road, is 12th in home runs per nine and 20th in Ks per nine. But we're basically elite in every single major pitching category as a team. Now, the drastic difference, check this out, Blake, our hitting 27th in runs per game. We're easily the team that strikes out the most. We're tied for the worst batting average. We're 25th in OBP. We're 27th in OPS. Our only saving grace is we're tied for 12th in home runs. But Blake, we're talking about two different galaxies in terms of pitching production
Yeah.
versus hitting production.
That is about as lopsided as it gets. I mean, top five in almost every major category there in pitching, and bottom five in almost every major category in batting. I mean, that is pretty wild. Yeah, but me and Indy were comparing some hitting stats from the Reds to the Mariners, and then we're comparing pitching stats from the Reds to the Mariners, and it's like we're in the middle of the road when it comes to pitching. We've got Hunter Green that's really well. We've had Lodolo who's been hurt, but he's came back on and been really strong. But that's really kind of the extent of us. And on closing, our surefire guy Diaz has just not been good. But it's just like, you know, we are just, I mean, middle of the road pitching and about that same batting too. So a better batting, but worse pitching. And we've got probably 15 less wins than the Mariners, maybe 17 less wins than the Mariners at this point. So it's just, that's why I would still, I'll, die on the hill that I would much rather have that top half pitching than the top half batting if I had to choose one.
Absolutely. And to me, it's not even close. You can't be swinging up there with a giant hole in your bat. But if you have to choose, either you get elite pitching or elite hitting, you take pitching every time. I mean, we could go back to any World Series ever. One that always stuck out in my mind is obviously 1995 because the Mariners had such a fantastic run. But the Cleveland Indians at the time had just an unbelievable lineup. Unbelievable lineup. I mean, a young Manny Ramirez is like batting sixth or seventh at that time. I mean, that's how deep their shit was. But the Atlanta Braves had the best pitching staff we've seen in the last 30 years of Major League Baseball, and that's the team that got it done and won it all. So I'm with you. Fuck yeah. Smoltzy. Playoff Smoltzy. That's what we should have called him, man.
Yeah.
They call him Playoff P or
Yeah.
whatever. Oh, shit.
Yeah.
But Indy, I mean, we're talking about the drastic differences, and I got some stats here, but is there any way our own guys can step it up, or do we really need to dig deep for outside resources? Because what's obviously sucks, you look at the standings, a lot of my potential trade targets are on teams that would have been sellers a month ago that are clearly going to be buyers now. So the pool of teams willing to trade their good players has shrunken to an extremely small percentage of the league.
Yeah, I mean, if you if you look at our roster and the guys that we've called up at times this year, guys like Locklear, guys like Clase, guys like Bliss, uh, I mean, we have guys like Marlowe still, in the farm, and like in less than 10% of the at bats, Locklear has 25% or 20% of the home runs Julio has. 30 at bats, he has 2 home runs. 32 plate appearances. We have young guys that look like they might be ready to hit at the next level. I mean, Bliss is batting 224 with what 20? Where's this stolen bases? I can't see. I mean, but yeah, you get the gist. Bliss is definitely somebody that we could potentially rely on like long term. Locklear, he's a way more athletic Ty France with more power potential. I mean, we have guys that might be able to turn the tide for us. We just have to be able to like commit to them. I mean, it's hard to bring those guys up and not give them everyday playing time because they're not going to get much better if they're not playing every day. Whereas they're playing every day in AAA. So I get the gist of it, and I understand the process of it, but it does feel like we have guys that could be contributing and immediately helping that we're not calling up and we're not bringing forward consistently. It I mean, it's easy to say, yeah, we need one batter, we need two bats, and we need to go trade for them. But like these guys have been building a roster that they're trying to believe in, and I feel like, yeah, I mean, I hear you, Emmett, 100%. But it's like, who do we go get at this point, and how much do we have to give up to get them? Like, I'm all for trading the farm for somebody that's gonna impact us like now. But like, who's available? That's a realistic opportunity for us. And that's where all of us can only speculate.
Yeah, I think it just adds to like tension when you're losing games. Like I was just looking like to the Angels series when you're losing a game 2-1, when you let up 2 runs in the second inning and you can't manage to scrape anything else to like it's like you had a great outing from like your staff. And it's like when you're losing a game like that, that's I would much rather lose a game 8-9 that went down like swinging at the very end than that, just because it's just you did everything you're supposed to. The bats just couldn't get it done.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's rough because it truly does feel like we're that close. Like we're that close. It feels that way, and it's felt that way for the last 3 years at least. Like we are that close. And who am I to say what the right move is? All I know is we have guys that are exciting to watch that we aren't getting to see very much, and that kind of sucks.
Absolutely, absolutely, Indy. I just want to give a huge shout out. Tommy's back in the live chat. Fire everyone. I kind of wouldn't mind that to a certain extent, but I mean, we got to deal with the cards that were dealt. 2K Red Eye suggesting Joe Madden. I could dig that. I could dig that. He's a guy that players love. He's a proven winner on a team that has a vastly lower payroll than the Mariners. He's also been a World Series champion for a team that didn't win the World Series for like a 100-year gap, basically. So I could ride with that. Emmett Brown wanting Lou Piniella back. Shit, let's start smoking cigarettes in the dugout again. What is this, 1991? I'd be all over that. But Lou Piniella's up here in Seattle doing commercials for an assisted living facility. So I think we kind of know where that shit rolls. But Indy, while you two are talking, another good reason to have co-hosts is you can do some things on the sidelines. And I just looked it up really quick because you were talking about Ty Locklear versus Ty France. And we got 30 at bats for Ty Locklear. We got 294 for Ty France. But in that small sample size, Ty Locklear's home run per at bat percentage is 3 times higher than Ty France's.
Sounds good to me.
I'm no mathematician, man, but I can do a little addition, subtraction, and division and shit like that, and that's what it tells us. In that small sample size, Ty Locklear hits a home run 3 times more often than Ty France. And it sucks. I mean, look at what's going on right now. Mitch Haniger is an obvious fan favorite. Everyone loves the dude, but his production has been so bad. We barely see him in the lineup right now, and that's with Dominic Canzone on the injured list. And to top it off, like I always mention, Mitch Haniger has like a 15 or 16 million dollar player option for next year. Of course the team knows this. And when that sort of money's on the line and you're a team that's kind of a lower middle class budget, you really need to find out ways to make high cost players work, and they're basically throwing their hands up saying shit. This is it. This is it. 2K Red Eyes trade Cal at his peak cuz he's a Boris guy. Now, here's something to consider. And this sucks for Cal Raleigh. It really does. But pro sports, you need to kind of be a cutthroat asshole to a certain extent. Cal Raleigh is barely over 2 years of service time. He's already 27 or 28. So by the time he hits free agency, he's going to be 32, 33 years old. I think there's almost any team in baseball that's going to ride him out. And because of his age and when he popped in the big leagues, Cal is probably not going to get the top of the market contract that he deserves. But this is pro sports. You got to make tough decisions. You kind of got to be an asshole upstairs. And I say ride it out. I would say I would ride Cal out like if I was an NFL GM and coach. I would ride the wheels off my damn running back and say, sorry, bro, this money's going to our offensive tackle or our quarterback. But that's just my 2 cents on that matter. I just want to get in really quick to how outstanding our starting pitching rotation has been in terms of compared to the league at the All-Star break. Logan Gilbert is first in quality starts. He's second in whip. He's 10th in ERA, and he's first in innings pitched. I mean, he's not going to be in the Cy Young conversation, but damn it, he should be. He should be. George Kirby. George Kirby tied for seventh in whip, tied for fifth in quality starts. 22nd in ERA, 8th in innings pitched. Luis Castillo, he's even kind of had an off year to a certain extent. Obviously, you know all about Luis, bro. But 31st in whip, not as good as we'd like. 36th in ERA, not as good as we like. But this guy's a professional grinder. Tied for sixth in quality starts, ninth in innings pitched. And then I also can't leave out, I always do this too, but Bryce Miller, 38th in ERA, 17th in whip, and tied for ninth in quality starts. I mean, our starting pitching staff is giving the team every opportunity to be a 60% winning ball club. But damn it, we're at 53% right now. We're only one game ahead of the Houston Astros. Blake, just talk to me about, honestly, it's just been a fun first half though. If you look at baseball as a whole, guys are doing some great things, and just talk to me about the first half of Major League Baseball in general.
I'd say, I mean, you'd be crazy to say that the most exciting thing in baseball right now is not Paul Skeens. I mean, that's like, the big, he really reminds you of just the old school pitcher. Honestly, it's just, what he gives me, the back in the day, he's just going to go out there and, chew some dip and spit it and get on the mound and throw it. He throws in the triple digits, but and it's just, it's crazy just seeing him up there. The two outings that he had that he went hitless through seven, we just don't, see that, as often these days. Pitchers are getting pulled. He got pulled twice, probably shouldn't have got pulled, but it's just yeah, that's been really exciting to kind of watch it. If I see that he's pitching, I'm definitely turning on the game to watch that, because they're not going to show my Reds on major TV, so I got to watch what I can watch. But so I'll watch that, and then as far as the Reds go, I mean Ellie has just been crazy, stealing bags left and right. When he can get on base and doesn't strike out, he can steal a bag. He's basically an automatic second base, kind of guy. So that's what I look forward to, is just seeing him get on base and see what he can do. See if we can crack 100 this year with him. We're at 46 right before the break here, so got a chance.
Call in Ricky Henderson.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
What about Reese Hines?
Oh my gosh, dude. Yeah, Reese Hines got called up a week ago. He's played in 6 games and he has 5 homers and is batting like 443 or something crazy in the first 6 games. I mean, the dude is absolutely ridiculous right now. Like, what did he look at? It was like a 1 6 OPS is what he had. Yeah, it was like stupid. And now it's only a week sample size that we have, but in the first week to get called up to the major leagues from spending 3 months in the minor league system, come up and hit 5 homers in your first week is absolutely stupid.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. 2K Red Eyes, what do you want to do with Harry Ford? I've mentioned this before, and he might be the perfect trade candidate for Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay desperately needs a starting catcher. I don't know if Harry Ford's ready for major league duty there yet, but that is a perfect trade piece. You got to find the right fits. We can't, the Mariners aren't looking to trade for another center fielder unless it might be Luis Robert, who knows. But the point I'm getting at is you got to find the right partner who needs a whole field with a player you can provide. Now, I'm not gonna lowball Harry Ford here. I damn well want Isaac Paredes if I'm trading Harry Ford, and I think that would be a perfect marriage. As we all know, Josh Rojas was absolutely on fire to start the season. I still like him. I still respect the shit out of him, but he's absolutely come back down to earth. I think he's down in the 240s now after starting the season up in Tony Gwynn territory, for Pete's sake. So we'll see how that goes. One guy I pounded the table for, and part of it is because, as you guys know, corner outfield has kind of been unreliable at best. Love Luke Rayleigh. He's really been up and down. Some weeks I'm coming on this mic and saying, God, I love Luke Rayleigh. Sometimes I'm kicking my toe when I'm recording this podcast about that dude. Dominic Canzone, I don't even know if he's that good. Plus, he seems like he's always hurt. But Victor Robles, just on the week, hit 500 with a home run. And as Indy alluded to, he had 3 stolen bases this week, 2 in the same inning on Sunday. And when he stole third, he caused an error on the throw at third base, allowing him to score easily. When you can't hit, I've been pounding the table, and the Mariners are pissing me off. I might 2K Red Eyes, Emmett Brown, all y'all. I might even be on the fire service train right now. Except my huge thing is I don't know how much say he might directly have into who plays and who doesn't. This isn't the Lou Piniella, Bobby Cox, Jim Leland type of days where what the manager says goes. GM and front office have a ton of say now on how the lineups are done. But when you can't hit, frickin' run. When you can't hit, get in Robles, get in Clase, get in Ryan Bliss. But that havoc, we need to produce runs in some way. And then Cal Raleigh on the week, 355 with 5 bombs and 10 RBI. That's including a freaking golden sombrero on the week. J-Rod hitting 650 on the week with 2 bombs, and that's including a golden sombrero. If these two dudes didn't strike out 4 times in one game, you might think they were playing a MLB The Show on easy mode, for God's sakes. So, I'm getting all worked up and frazzled right now, guys, as you can tell. I'm extremely happy we're in first place, but the facts are the facts. 3 to 4 weeks ago, we were 10 games in front in first place. At the All-Star break, we're 1 game ahead. And if you aren't worried about the Astros coming up on us, then damn it, you should be. RG said it last week. Things in the mirror are closer than they appear, and that is exactly the Houston Astros. But hey, what's up, Mariners lifer? You're worried. We all are. This is where we got to make some moves. I want to ask you this, Blake, because you have a really great grasp on the league in totality. The Mariners, as we sit right now, we have 8 prospects in the baseball top 100 list. Is it time to make a move? Because this is what I'm telling everybody. We're Baseball America has a second in ranking, 8 in the top of 100. We could trade a few guys, still have a great farm system, and bring some dudes in. Just from an outside perspective, what would be your motives and moves if you had that sort of prospect capital right now?
Man, it just the question you always got to ask yourself. So I guess, are you in a position to compete right now, to like make some noise right now? Because if you don't, if you think that adding that one more piece just for, let's say, a year or 2 at most to give somebody, a chance, somebody who can help you now, then I would say absolutely. Now, if it's, with the Reds, with us, if we, we're trying to, give up a bunch, I would say not so much because I mean, we're scraping to make a wild card spot pretty much, right now. Whereas like you guys are sitting on top of the division basically you want to go from the B plus, the A minus tier range to the S tier of the MLB teams right now. And if one move could do that, then you have to give it a go. Because also, if you bring somebody is surefire, going to be able to produce right now, and then the rest of the team is still not producing, then that's when you have to look back and say, okay, well, it's like we've got maybe some other moves. We maybe weren't just one move away, but now we may be just one move away. So then, re-gauge it again.
Indy, if I put you in the GM chair, what would be your aggressiveness or timidness in terms of trying to improve this lineup?
I mean, at this point, I'd go all in. No holds barred. No conversation, not, like every conversation is available. Like I would explore all options to improve this team immediately. I don't think I don't think us as fans deserve any less. I mean, with the amount of heartbreak we've endured since the conception of this team, um, I say do whatever it takes to get a bat like Vlad Jr. or, like you said, I mean, Harry Ford for one of those guys over there in Florida would make an immediate impact to me. I mean, Chisholm would just be the absolute move for me. Like I would ship Haniger off and put Chisholm in right field or left field, and that's an immediate bat that's going to impact this lineup. And he's not a liability in the field at all. You know, I'm with him, and I'd sign fucking Trevor Bauer too. Like, let's do it. Why not? Like, if you want to win, why would you not? Like, teams that are struggling for pitching that aren't signing Trevor Bauer, I mean,
Yeah.
what are they doing?
What are you doing?
I mean, we're in a like Blake said, we're in a position where we could go from the middle higher tier to the upper echelon of baseball. And I genuinely feel like with our pitching staff, we are right there teetering on the edge of getting there and kicking down that door. It just is going to take balls from our management and our ownership. And sadly, I don't think we have them. I don't think they have the balls.
Yeah, want to get out of that three-leg pony race at the end of the year like you were in last year. You want to, I mean, really have that, separation when it comes to the end, feel more comfortable, maybe could rest some guys going into playoff season, be more prepared because that's what the best teams do. They go into those last couple of weeks knowing that they're going to be able to, hold off and kind of just prepare for playoff season, look and see, what they're looking at. But when you're like, throwing the kitchen sink in to make it and get a good advantage in the playoffs, and you're setting yourself back a little bit.
I'd also add, though, I mean, this is the Seattle frickin' Mariners. This opportunity does not come around often for this franchise. We've made the playoffs 5 times since 1977. And you made a fantastic point, though, Blake, because the Mariners have made the playoffs just once in the last 25 years, or maybe 23 years, I would say. And there's been several times in that 23, 24-year stretch that the Mariners made buyers moves at the trade deadline, and we found out as the season evolved that we were pretenders and we probably shouldn't have been that aggressive. But those teams, I could have seen the writing on the wall that they were fraudulent. This team has too much great pitching to let this shit go. Texas Power Ranger telling us sell. I'm telling you, hell no, I don't want to sell. And honestly, part of it is I'm looking at the young core we have right now. And the windows right now, the Mariners, like I said, are a lower middle class team. We're 18th in payroll spending, but we are vastly below the real top dogs, I would say, in terms of spending. I don't think there's any chance in hell that we're going to be able to retain Logan, Kirby, and Cal. I just don't think that's realistic for this franchise. So I understand 2K Red Eye saying trade Cal at his peak. You know, a Boris client usually is going to free agency. Maybe our only hope is Scott Boras drops the bag for a bunch more clients this offseason and pisses some more ball players off, and maybe that helps the Mariners. But what I'm saying is there's no guarantee for the future. We have an elite pitching staff right now. Kirby's from New York, Cal's from North Carolina, Logan's from Florida. These are all dudes with East Coast ties. They're up in the furthest corner of the entire country right now. If all money and winning is equal, they're probably out the door, and I don't blame them. If I was drafted to go play for, say, the Tampa Bay Rays, and I'm Logan Gilbert production, I hit the open market, all things being equal, I would come back to Seattle. And so I don't really blame him. I think it's just kind of being a little realistic on about where some of our star core players may end up. Do I hope we re-sign them all? Of course I do. I'm not an idiot, but you also got to be real about the situation. We have the prospects. Guys are out there. The list is dwindling. Fuck it, man. Let's trade with Oakland, man. Let's get Mason Miller. Let's get Brent Roker, two of my favorite players in our entire division. And hey, let's make a run at this thing. And Blake, before I just toss it back to you, I talk about one trade a ton, and because it was a win-win for both organizations, and it was the Josh Beckett for Hanley Ramirez trade with the eventual champion Red Sox and the Miami Marlins at the time. And to me, it says you can trade an elite prospect, and even if that dude turns into a star, if you get what you need on your end, then that shit doesn't matter. And lo and behold, Hanley ended up going to Boston down the line anyways. That doesn't matter to me. What I'm saying for to you, you know, what's your opinion? Like, as long as you get your guy, does it really matter in the end?
I mean, what's the ultimate goal in doing everything? It's to win ball games, you know. And as if that guy, it puts you in a position to win like games, and if the other team, you want it to be a win-win. Now, if it's like somebody you play all the time, they're in division, then maybe not. You don't want it to be a win-win kind of trade. But you know, if it's a it's the ultimate goal is to win games from these trades. So it's just I would say that you don't want to give up the future to potentially, if you're not going to win it all or get close to it or have a very successful season based off of your moves, then that's just where you have to gauge, the future that you're giving up and potential there. But I mean, like you're saying, the Mariners have, I mean, from what it sounds, you're saying, I mean, number two, in prospects, they have 8 top 100s. I mean, you've got plenty to deal and still be fine. Pick your 4 best guys that you want to ride with, and then let's deal the other 4 and try to win something now. So, I mean, because it's right there in front of you. Because I remember being with you guys last year, and we were sitting here talking, and it's literally a 3-leg race, and it's just are fighting with Houston to try to stay on top, and it's just kind of dwindles down to that last little bit. And it would be just I'm sure nice for all the Mariners fans to just go into the last 2 weeks being 8 games up, and you're fine, you're sitting pretty, let's just win 3 or 4 more and get this thing wrapped up.
I got a question, Tyler.
What's up?
You can't keep Logan, you can't keep Kirby, and you can't keep Cal. Like, you can't keep them all together, right? Who do you keep and why? You can keep 2 of the 3.
I keep the 2 pitchers.
I'm with you. If you can only keep 1, who are you keeping?
I think I might ride with Logan now. If you asked me last year, I would have said George Kirby, but I mean, it's a year-to-year thing. Maybe my opinion changes later. but he's just got an absolute arsenal right now. And here's a great stat for you, Blake, is when Logan first came to the show, he was a 70% fastball guy. He's developed so well overall. He's now a 30% fastball guy. So this is the type of work ethic, the type of drive, the determination, the putting everything in to improve. That's who you want to build around, in my opinion.
Yeah, that completely flipped a switch like that from 70 to 30. I mean, that is a difference right there. It just that shows someone that is not just satisfied with their one pitch, because that's clearly what it looks like got him into the league there is that fastball. But it's just, I mean, now, I mean, to be able to still work and develop that part of your game, that really is cool. And I think, I was talking to him, I was looking at Alexis Diaz, our closer, with the Reds. He made the All-Star, team last year, but it just seems he's been in with 3 years now, and it's just each year his ERA is going up, and he's just kind of letting up more runs and more homers, and he's kind of a little bit been less consistent this year. And I kind of felt like he, relied heavy on that, fastball slider action that he has, and it's kind of where he's stuck at. So he may have to, kind of look at pushing himself a little bit more to, not have us lose games that we're up, 4-1 going into the, seventh. And then, he comes in and drops, a 3-run homer tie ball game. It's happened probably 3 times this year. And it's seems like every game that I end up getting to watch, that happens.
I just want to give a shout out to everyone on the live chat. I know it might sound like a broken record, but it means that much to us. And y'all see Blake here on the mic in the hot seat with us. Slide up in those DMs, man. My oh my, ASP, Facebook, Insta, TikTok, MySpace, bulletin boards, Spotify, Apple iTunes, you name it. Slide up in those DMs if you want to be a part of the show and put your voice on the mic. All of y'all, we are so happy that you want to come in and interact with us like this. Emmett Brown, he's talking about signing Trevor Bauer. Now, I want the opinions of everyone here. And I know that, I mean, this is a very low level of baseball relative to the top leagues in the world. But Robinson Cano's hitting freaking 460 in the Mexican League. Did he get a lifetime ban from Major League Baseball, or is it worth kicking the tires on this dude? I mean, he's pulling a fucking Kenny Powers on the Charos right now, coming in and kicking ass and taking names. I don't think it's realistic, but this guy is acting like he's freaking Babe Ruth or Ty Cobb down there right now.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I don't think it would translate to the MLB at this point in his career, but it is pretty interesting how well he's doing down there because, I mean, how old is he? 42, 43, something like that? He's down there hitting 460. Like, what the hell? Shout out to Emmett Brown saying, shout out to my favorite volunteer, Peyton Manning.
Yeah, the sheriff.
Yeah.
Man, I'm not giving up hope that one day Peyton Manning is going to be, because when Tennessee walks into Neyland Stadium and takes their team down there, they do the Vol Walk, which is like a huge thing. I mean, if there's 100,000 people in the stands, about 65,000 of them are out there waiting for them at that Vol Walk. It's crazy. But the road they walk down, it's Peyton Manning Pass is the name of the road that they walk down. And I mean, I want one day to be able to have a picture of Peyton Manning walking down Peyton Manning Pass as the head coach of Tennessee, just because, just that would just be the coolest picture in the world, to walk down a street named after you into a stadium that you won so many games in. Yeah, that's my like, fever dream, but probably will never happen. I hope it never happens. Josh Heupel stays 40 years and we win 10 national championships. He never has to come.
Right. I mean, dude, your guys' football core is young and disgusting. Boo Carter, Nico. Dang, you guys got a Another kid that I saw recently is a 5-star offensive tackle, I'm pretty sure, offensive lineman.
So Lance Hurd was a freshman at LSU, as a 5-star, came over this
Maybe
past
that's what I
year.
saw.
But I mean, Josh Heupel is it's crazy. I mean, a lot of people are calling him the quarterback whisperer now. He's like the new Lincoln Riley. They've got Nico, 5-star, prospect. Everybody loved him, but then they get George McIntyre, 5-star prospect out of Brentwood Academy that'll come in next year. And now they've got a guy that's going to commit on August 12th, Faison Brandon, and he's going to commit. It's down to Georgia, Alabama, and Tennessee, and I think it's Alabama, Tennessee, and it may be NC State, actually, because Georgia was in it, so he's just down to those three. But NC State's really not, part of the discussion. He's just a hometown kid, but it'd be crazy in 3 out of 3 years to get 3 5-star quarterbacks who are all in the top 5 in the country. I mean, that would just be. Uh, I would be severely disappointed if we didn't do anything with that, if we ended up getting him too.
Yeah, it really does seem like you guys are set up for the future really well.
I'm excited for that. Trevor, no, we were on Cano, is what we were on. Yeah, I had thought of it. It is just a little. I think that we're holding on to a lot of like older players who are still trying to, stay relevant and in the league and stuff. And Cano is on, one side, but somebody I was really also sad to see that never got another chance again was Joey Votto. Man, he had his last year at the Reds and he was a little hurt, but then we didn't re-sign him, and I just expected somebody to really give him a chance. Toronto signs him, his first AB, he gets a homer, but he kind of did okay in spring after that, but then he never got picked up again. So I'm just waiting to see if something happens with him. But yeah, same. I think it's the same deal. If they step down the competition, the the difference there is it's like you're playing grown man baseball against high schoolers, almost in a sense, with like our high school league, I would say. So, you know, I don't know, to maybe if the Yankees weren't relevant or something, and they wanted to sign him at the end of the year just to see what it would look like or something, to put him out there, maybe give him a chance. But other than that, it's like, just like a homer kind of, thing. Oh, well, let's try to give him one more go around. But no, the Reds dropped Joey Votto like a bad habit at the end of the year, and that made me sad.
So, as we know, teams are measuring bat speed more than ever, and maybe because it's a brand new thing that they can quantify. I wonder if they're just looking at his bat speed and saying that it's not there anymore. I don't know. I have no proof on that. That's just my one possible guess. But we also lean too much into that. I don't know necessarily, but I think that Julio Rodriguez was concentrating maybe on a great bat speed number too much this year. Because the bottom line is you got to get the sweet spot to the ball. If you don't get the sweet spot to the ball, it really doesn't matter how fast you swing. So sometimes you got to simplify, short to and through, find yourself again, and then magically you start crushing the ball again. And hopefully that's what we found in Julio, because he's been playing video game numbers the last week or two. It's been a 600 slug or 600 OPS type of season for him this year, which is vastly below what he's done in his career. And the bottom line is we need this dude to be a star to get where we want to get to. So I mean, we'll Emmett Ball or Emmett Brown, man, you hating on nerd ball. That shit just cracked me up right there, dude. But there's always a happy medium to life, I'm a type of guy, I love the war stat, but you can't be beholden to it. I can understand launch angle, but you can't be beholden to it. The bottom line is, can you hit? That great money ball, man. Does he hit well? So
Does he get on base?
there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. So, and Lord knows what did I write down here? Mariners are like dead last in getting on base. So,
Yeah.
we're 25th.
I'd take 9 Ichiros over 9 Aaron Judges, I would probably say.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Honestly, I mean, somebody that could get on base, I mean, so consistently and, runs really well. Now I'd say Aaron Judge has gotten a lot better. I'll say I'd take, like, nine guys who could go yard at any moment over, or each are over nine guys who could go yard any moment. It's just because getting on base. I mean, that's all it boils down to. You gotta find a way to get like six guys up an inning. If you can do that, then you're pretty good.
Well, it's funny that the Major League Baseball draft has been going on as we've been speaking. It's obviously not nearly as popular as other ones, such as the NFL draft. Y'all were just talking some of Tennessee's hot recruits lately, and the obvious reason is almost all sports fans watch college football. It's the second most popular sport in the country, easily. And so there's a natural progression. Oh, I saw 25 of the first 30 picks play. So there's just a natural interest. Not nearly as many people watch college baseball as college football, and it's not even close. But you know what? The Mariners made one of the most fun draft picks that there could be because this young man, I'm going to butcher his name, Gerangelo Sagente out of Mississippi State, is the ambidextrous pitcher. I'm looking right here. I'm sorry for whoever, but one of y'all mentioned that it was an interesting pick. He was a superstar in the 26 Little League World Series. He is a mid 90s fastball, topping out at 98, and they're calling him Marcus Stroman esque. Bottom line is, the Mariners had, since the Jerry DePoto regime came in, we went all pitching early. Then we went all hitting. Now we kind of need to restock the pitching in the minor leagues. So this is a great move just in terms of organizational depth. You never really know what a baseball draft pick's going to do. But I just want to move on really quickly here. In the college baseball world, Tennessee Volunteers, obviously a fantastic season. We got our friend Blake on right here, repping the Volunteers as hard as he possibly can. Our rival, Anaheim Angels, just drafted their star second baseman. Blake, just give us any thoughts on how fun that was to see your team get it done in the College Baseball World Series.
Oh my gosh. You just never. Uh, I the last time my team won any kind of respective championship that wasn't women's basketball. That with Pat Summit, early 2000, she was winning. I mean, at will. But 1998 in the '99 Fiesta Bowl, Tennessee beat Florida State, and that was the last time. I was 1 years old, sitting on my dad's lap at a Hooters. So he brought me there. And then after he was kind of just more mad because he didn't get to go to the game because of stuff from my mom, but whatever. So, but it was so surreal. I mean, just sitting there on my couch watching my team, hold the trophy at the end, and our coach having like the post game interview, after winning it all. It is really crazy. You just never. It just seems like we were the ultimate team of bad luck, in every category of our sport, football, basketball, baseball. I mean, it was just pretty wild to see, and made the College World Series 3 out of the last 4 years. And the 1 year that we didn't make it in the last four, but we had arguably the best team in college baseball history. I mean, they were absolutely ridiculous. I mean, number one all year practically. I mean, it was. They were destined, but then they get put out in the supers. And this year was just. I mean, we didn't start out fantastic, and a lot of people thought it was going to be a down year, and it was just because we did lose so much to the majors. Ben Joyce, who's on the Angels now, he was pitching for us not too long ago, and he was, I mean, absolutely incredible for us closing out games before in 22. So we just thought took a little bit of a step back early this year, but then Christian Moore, who you just talked about, I mean he just came on at the end of the year. Him and Blake Burke batting at 1-2 spot. I mean, and Moore's clearly our power hitter batting leadoff. And I mean, he was just absolutely incredible. And it was just, wild to see him, break our school single season home run record as a second baseman, nonetheless. And I mean, which is just rare to see a second baseman that's, got that kind of power. he was going to play short this year, but what it seemed like is we just had a few better gloves than him, but he's still just, I mean, just an incredible athlete out there. But yeah, I mean, Christian Moore had, I believe it was 34 home runs this year in what's the 60 wins that we had. I think we went 60 and 11, so 71 games. I mean, he was almost a home run every other game. When it really clicked for him was late in the year. He had a 3-run home run game against Kentucky, and that was a big series. I mean, we were right there teetering at the top of the SEC, and he just absolutely showed out. Had 3 home runs in one game and willed us a win. But I mean, the Angels have got probably my favorite Tennessee baseball player. I mean, of all time, and I say that more than R.I. Dickey, more than Todd Helton. I mean, yeah, I would say I loved watching Christian Moore play. Just the intensity that he had out there to play with. He is. I mean, I say he's the only person to hit for the cycle in the College World Series because it was back when they played in 1952 in some really small stadium back there. So and the one in Omaha is 420 dead center. He rocketed one 440 out there. He hit for the cycle on there plus a double to give us a win. I mean, he's the ultimate gamer, but he goes to where it seems like good players go to die over there with the Angels. So it's kind of made me a little bit sad to see him get drafted there.
Well, for your sake and our sake, I'll let him have a Mike Trout career. He can be as great as Mike Trout as long as the wins don't affect our Seattle Mariners and we all win here. But that must have just been so fun. And one thing I've noticed from up here in the Pacific Northwest is it just seems like the SEC is dominating college baseball right now. What is it in the water for my outside perspective? And they started kicking ass at softball as well, for Pete's sakes. But it's like if you invest in college football, which obviously the SEC does, the rising tide raises all ships, and they've been able to pass a bunch of West Coast programs and other sports that used to be really good. They've passed us all up out here, and they're kicking ass and taking names in nearly every sport.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And with baseball in particular, I'd say that Tim Corbin at Vanderbilt really started that first, that wave over the last decade of, what, SEC baseball has become. And it's kind of crazy just because since their win in 2019, they haven't made it out of the regionals. So it's just, that if that shows you one of I mean, the person who really brought SEC right now to prominence is actually having a hard time even competing and getting out of regionals now. It tells you how tough the league is. They Vanderbilt beat Tennessee 2 out of 5 games this year. We played 5 times this season, and they beat us 2 out of 5 of them. So I mean, competitive. Just then they finished. Man, it was 8th or 9th and barely scraped. They had to win 3 games in the SEC tournament to even make the NCAA tournament, and that's like a team that was had high hopes this year. So with baseball, it's just Kentucky. They'd never had a real squad, and they came out of nowhere this year, made the College World Series for the first time. So Florida obviously does really well. They had Jack Caglione paired with Charlie Condon over there at Georgia. I will say that Christian Moore went up against. If you look at their stats in SEC play against each other, I think I mentioned to you earlier, he won the Triple Crown in SEC play this year, and I mean, he just outperformed Jack Caglione and Charlie Condon in every category in SEC play this year. So it was really up against inferior opponents and smaller teams that they really did their dirty work against them. And like I said, Christian Moore came on late. SEC play goes and dominates. So, and he doesn't win SEC Player of the Year. I mean, tell me, how does that make sense? How do you win the Triple Crown in SEC play, but you aren't the SEC Player of the Year? I mean, that is dirty work, in my opinion.
Amen. Indy, did you pay attention to Tennessee baseball at all this year? I know you're down there in the southeast with Blake.
Uh, my girlfriend's family are all diehard Vols fans, so I paid a little bit of attention. Not the most. I'm not gonna lie, but from what I did see, Christian Moore popped out every single game. Every single game I watched, that kid did something incredible. his consistency it's not encouraging as a Mariner fan.
And that's a guy that, like, I mean, his first year, he comes on and barely plays as a freshman with us. And then second year, I mean, just year over year, I mean, he ended up this year batting close to 400 for the year. I mean, and it was just, and he's had, like I said, it was 34 bombs. The dude was like, incredible this year, but it was a work in progress. I mean, it was really like, I mean, he really developed, and that's our leadoff guy. Our second guy, Blake Burke, who I'm sure is going to get drafted here shortly. He's our first baseman. He was a DH, was a liability in the field, and honestly, like, he was not great. His freshman year, he hit 18 home runs, but he was a strikeout liability. But it was just, cool to see him, this year go and turn what he would have struck out on and just extending the bat and putting the barrel through as much of the zone as possible, being able to turn those into doubles. He broke the school record for most doubles this year. And this was a guy that was home run or strikeout every single time last year. So it's just the way that they're developing now. I'm confident that this is I would have to say that in the next 5 years, they're at least going to have one more championship, just because I'm confident in the coaching that we have now, more than just the players that we had.
Well, all I gotta say is keep it going, Rocky Top, man.
Right.
Another thing I did notice about them is that they overcame a lot of adversity. Like they would get down and they would be down in a series and claw their way back to victory. Like it happened in the most crucial, the most pivotal moments of their season. It seemed like they were overcoming adversity to get there, and that's what good teams do. That's what great teams do. They face adversity and they crawl their way out of it, claw their way out of it, and they like that's what I want to see the Mariners do. We've dug ourselves into a little hole here. We had a 10-game lead. It's time to pull up our pants and claw our way out of it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you have to. I mean, that's what the great teams do. And it's just in those wild runs, there's a moment where it could be at the beginning or the end. It's just something that's going to hold you up, and you got to find a way to get through it. That Florida State game for Tennessee, I mean, they were down 4 runs in the eighth. I mean, 4 runs in the eighth, and then they put up 5 in the last 2 innings to win. I mean, it's while they batted through the lineup, through the eighth and ninth to get them on and win it all. So, or to go and win their first World Series game for game one in a while. So, um, if you look at like Tom Brady's second Super Bowl against the Panthers, the back and forth there at the very end for them, they could have easily went down when Sanu had that. I think it was like a 78-yard touchdown catch that put the Panthers up with like 4 and change to go. He goes down and scores. The Panthers go down and score again and only leave like a minute and change, and it's like, well, it could have been over, what I mean? But you just have that what's next mentality. That's what separates, like you said, the good teams for the great ones.
Yeah, big time. Shout out to Emmett Brown, said he'd take Pat Summit over Scott Service right now. That's dude. I'm on the fire service team, I think.
I would trade almost all of our, I think it's 8 women's national championships for, I would say, maybe not just one football championship. I'd have to squeeze another, football championship in there. But I would trade all 8 of those for probably 2 football championships right now.
Yeah, I feel like most diehard Vols fans would, for sure.
All due respect to Pat Summit, like he said. I mean, who knows?
It's not. It's nothing personal. It's nothing personal. It's just. It's the facts. College football is the second most popular sport in our country right now, and it's not close. The NFL and college football are way ahead of the other sports in terms of general popularity. So I don't think it's a shot at all. It's just a fact. I mean, like, one of the greatest coaches ever. No one's going to dispute that. Emmett Brown saying you take Pat Summit over Scott Service. What I do know is Pat Summit's going to coach with more piss and vinegar than Scott will. And this is my question then for anyone still on the live chat is, do you think the Mariners, if we get rid of Service, do we go in the direction? Because Joe Madden, notoriously a player's manager. But I think that maybe if we're going to get rid of Scott, we need a little more of a piss and vinegar, Lou Piniella. And you don't need to always just kind of be a jackass with the umpires. We all loved it. Don't get me wrong. I love looking at YouTube clips of Lou going ballistic against umpires. But it's like the famous things that Lou would do would be he'd like pull in a Mike Blowers into his office. Mike, you're not hitting well enough, and if you don't start soon, I'm gonna have to bench you. And it's that sort of open honesty. You don't need to blast a guy to the media, but there has to be an accountability at least behind the scenes. And it feels like some of these Mariners, like Indy was talking about, Jorge Polanco is hitting under 200. Well, maybe that means Ryan Bliss needs some more burn. Ty France, his power production is honestly kind of pathetic for a first baseman. We need more out of that position. Mitch, I keep saying Mitch Haniger because although I'm critical of him, it breaks my heart. Dude, like he's not going to be the stature of Joey Votto because Joey Votto is much more of a franchise legend to the Reds compared to Haniger to the Mariners. But to me, it's kind of the same ballpark, at least in the realm of a fan favorite. Everyone loves it, breaks your heart, but maybe this time is over for this ball player. You two were both talking about determination, grit, and I don't know who said this, but the greatest predictor of success is grit. And this goes for any walk of life. When the going gets tough, can you dust yourself off and keep going? That's the key. You were talking about that moment for ball clubs. I hope the Mariners have it. We'll see. Talent also matters, especially, if you're at the very top level of a pro sport. But grit and determination is the key factor to any person succeeding in life. I will always stand by that. And so, man, you guys got me all jacked up right now. We're at that halfway point. We got the home run derby coming up. We have the All-Star game coming up. I got to be real. I haven't honestly watched the MLB All-Star game since maybe Griffey Jr. was winning these things. But I'm also a grown person. I need to go, work. I need to pay my bills, etc. And it is an exhibition game at the end of the day. So, we'll see how this all turns out in totality. Indy, you got any Mariners knowledge, baseball knowledge, anything you want to drop on us right now?
I mean, nothing super in particular, just that for as frustrating as the Mariners have been, we are still in first place. We still have a shot at this thing this year, and all we can do is just continue to support those boys in blue out there, and hope that our management grows some balls and pushes for a big bat or two. When Scott sits at the dinner table, he doesn't get the big piece of chain. Oh, that's yeah, man. I'm ready for something. I mean, I think we can appreciate Scott for what he's done over the years, but if you don't make something happen this year with the roster we've had the last 3 years, the pitching staff that has come to become one of the greatest, if not the greatest, in the league right now. I mean, actions speak louder than words. I want wins. I want more than 54%. I want more than one playoff appearance in how many years has he been here? 9, 10, something. He's been here a while, right? He's been here almost as long as Pete Carroll was with the Seahawks, or as long. So Pete Carroll had a lot more success in his tenure. There's a lot more to be proud of with someone like Pete Carroll. I don't look back at Scott's career with the Mariners and like reminisce. There's nothing to reminisce about besides one home run by Cal Raleigh. It's the biggest thing for me to reminisce on in the past. My whole life as a Mariner fan, pretty much. My entirety as a Mariner fan. The only thing I can look back on and be like, hell yeah, is Cal Riley's home run to send us to end the playoff drought. Because I wasn't really old enough to appreciate the moments like 2001 or most of Ichiro's career. I wasn't as focused on baseball as I am as I get older. So it's like
you just want more.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's like the I don't know. It's fine to be, happy that you're in first, for now. But when you look at the rest of the American League, if you just were to compare with if you compare with the East or the Central there, then I mean, you would be third or second compared to the rest of them. So it's like the goal's not to make the playoffs anymore. The goal is to get into the playoffs and beat some of those teams that you're going to have to be playing. So it's just like, yeah, and go up against them. So yeah, it's fine to be like, woohoo, we're in position to make the playoffs. But it's like, again, it's like, what's next? Like now, all right, we made it. We did that, been there, done that. How are we going to be better?
Exactly. It's you have to have that mentality, like you said. What's next? That you want to see fight out of this team. You want to see, and you want to see it consistently, because we do see it at times. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and say we never see it. We see it at times. We know they're capable of producing. We know these bats can put the ball in play, but if you're not doing it consistently, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how talented you are if you're not putting that talent to work day in and day out. Like, and it hurts because, like, we watched we watched Felix get wasted by this team for how long, because they could not put together a competent offense, and it just feels like we are in one of those history just repeats itself cycles, and I just want to see some balls with management. They need to grow some balls and make something happen.
You're damn right, man. You're damn right. I'm going to take the Seahawks as an example, Indy. And although some of the trades absolutely backfired, John Schneider was never afraid to make a blockbuster. And there's something to be said about that. You're still going to be set. You're still making a few million per year. Don't be afraid to get fired. Don't be afraid to get fired, Jerry. If you go down swinging, you're gonna have more respect amongst your peers than just holding on to 54% all the time. Let's just hold on to our 54% winning percentage. We'll keep people in the stands. And what worries me is that might be a direction from ownership, and you do what your boss tells you in this world, or your ass is out the door. Out the door. I love it, Emmett Brown. In the terrorist club when Cal hit that bomb. What a special moment. What a special moment. Seattle, don't settle for average. We deserve greatness. Hell yeah, Emmett. Hell yeah. And Mariners fans, we really do, man. You want to talk about loyal fans? It's the fucking Seattle Mariners, damn it. And I don't mean to always swear like that, but that's how I feel. Like, there is no more loyal fan base than the Seattle Mariners. We went through literally the longest playoff drought of any of the four major pro sports leagues in America until 2 years ago. And how fun was that to beat the Blue Jays? We came up short. We kind of choked a little bit against Houston, but damn it, get us back in that winner's circle. Emmett, if you're still there, bro, so I don't know if you can bring in a new manager mid-season, but Manny Acta, although his winning percentage sucks as a big league manager, I don't know if that's his fault, because the Nationals and the Indians from '07 to 12 were both struggling ball clubs. I got a question for you then, Blake, just in baseball in totality. Can you fire a manager and hire a new guy mid-season, or is that too messy and you got to rely on someone in-house to finish that job?
That's a great call out. I mean, it's a good question, just because you have to have the person in charge to be able to have the cojones to say, I'm going to make a decision like that. And when I think of big balls decisions, like when I think of like this guy has it, Nick Saban in the national championship game pulls Tua Tagovailoa, who was his starting quarterback, and he rode with him. And for and pulls him for Jalen Hurts to come in and play that second half and win him a national championship game. And he was not afraid to make that decision. He's seen that it wasn't working and he pulls the trigger on it. They win. Who knows if he keeps it, if he just wants to be comfortable and just, wants to ride with, the guy and not want to make, any waves. He could have, easily done that, but it's a tough decision, but it's like you were saying earlier, making those tough decisions, people will respect you a hell of a lot more if you go for it rather than just sitting on your hands and hoping, what you've done so far is just enough that you put all the pieces in play. That it's just, if you sit on your hands and there was clearly another move that could have been made, then, people will look back at it and say, what if we got a new manager halfway through and seeing if we could have done something? What if we would have traded for a big bat right before the deadline? What if, if people are asking those questions, then yeah, you may get seats, filled still, but it's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to, win pennants. We're trying to go to, conference championship series and World Series and, that kind of stuff. So you have to have, but the first step is you have to have somebody who's in place that has the balls to do that.
I say you take it back to 2022. The Philadelphia Phillies start the season 22-29. Fire Joe Girardi. Proceed to make it to the World Series that year. So that's the most recent moment I could think of where firing someone mid-season was the right move. And Joe Girardi is not just some scrub coach. He won a World Series with the Yankees in 2009. He has a 54% win percentage in his career as a manager, which I found interesting. Shout out to Jerry. But yeah, like sometimes addition by subtraction is the best move. Like sometimes it really is, and we'll never know because I don't think he's gonna get fired in the middle of the season. If he gets fired, they're gonna do it at the end of the season because continuity is also important, especially when you're a team that's sitting in first place. You're not 22-29 with a roster that was obviously talented enough to make it to the World Series. So it's tough to say. It's tough to say. I just want to see something. We need some kind of fire, some kind of change, something to spark something in that ball club because the trajectory we're on right now is not going to be enough. It's not going to be enough. Point blank simple.
That's the truth. That's the truth. Houston is not going anywhere. Texas, we blinked, and although they're 4 games under, they're only 5 games back. You were talking about that 3-horse race, Blake. The 3-horse race is here. It's here. We're not even fronting, man. The race is on already. There is 64 games left. We can improve this team. We have elite pitching. How many teams have elite pitching on any given year? And we're doing that for 2-3 years in a row? You want to talk about wasting. You want to talk about wasting a golden opportunity that might never come again. How often do you have the best pitching staff in baseball?
Yeah, honestly, never. When it comes around, you got to, you got to make something happen. And right now, like you were saying, the last couple weeks is when Julio has turned it on. So it's like, and if you have a couple of bats that are going now, like why not, you need to strike while the iron's hot and get somebody else in there so that you can get some like immediate work. Maybe it takes a little bit of pressure off of him to be able to go out there and just perform, how he did last year and the year before.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it sucks. It sucks too because we have proven hitters that have sucked this year, dude. And there's no way around it. We all thought Jorge Polanco was going to hit. Well, he hasn't. And Tommy says we need change ASAP. Damn it. I'm getting all sorts of fired up right now. Get me a Roker. Get me a Vlad Jr. Get me an Isak Paredes. I was huge on Tyler O'Neill, but he ain't coming here because Boston is thoroughly in the mix right now. You cannot punt on a season if you're running the Boston Red Sox unless you want to be thrown in with the T into the harbor. So that shit ain't happening, folks. But there's time. It is the time, I should say. It is the time. We could go on forever, but I like having you on here, Blake. There is an enigmatic player in baseball right now who's honestly more star than production, who has caused huge discussion and debate in Seattle. What are your thoughts on trading for Luis Robert Jr.?
Oh, it's tough just because what are you going to have to give up for that risk? It's just because like you said, you do have the assets to deal on there. Are you talking about giving up multiple that, could perform like he's done right now? He's actually production, if they could be doing that for you in the future, then it may is he going to help you win right now, is the thing. And if you're having to give up, the future to pair with, some pitching that's really good, then I'd say probably not, honestly, is the way that I would lean just myself. But that's where, we've got a team that's very, very young. So I think, in that aspect, how old are the Mariners? Like their lineup right now? Like is it very young right now? Do you what's the what are you guys working with?
I think it's kind of
The,
a mix a little bit,
yeah,
right?
A
exactly.
good mix.
Mix.
Okay, okay. Yeah, so I mean, and then how old is Luis?
Castillo,
Ooh. No,
31.
Luis Roberts.
Oh,
Oh,
Luis.
oh,
Oh,
Roberts. Yeah,
gotcha.
Roberts.
Gotcha.
I'll look it up right now. He is 26.
26. So I mean, yeah, that's good. Middle of the road.
He's got 11 home runs. He's batting 236. Um, his strikeouts.
I mean, what that I mean that line there when we were looking at the Mariners, batting earlier, that just seems like it fits right in with what you already have. So it's not like I mean, you're going to be replacing, somebody that's giving you similar numbers. It doesn't seem like it's going to be much of a win for them to go. If you want somebody who's producing now, and you're going to have to give up a lot to be able to do that, because a team that's selling right now is going to want a lot. So if somebody's selling cheap, there's a reason.
Yeah. Really good
Yeah.
point. Really good point. I'm not the biggest Luis Robert guy, and that's just because I am just with you. There's too much risk versus how much you need to trade to get him. But that doesn't mean I don't want to trade, man. I am digging in my pockets, bro. Get me Brent Roker. Get me Mason Miller. Get me Ryan McMahon. I'm a big Ryan McMahon guy. So I'm always super worried about guys from the Rockies. We look it up. 804 OPS at home, 800 OPS on the road. So that shit's legit. You always got to do your homework on a Rocky, though. We damn well know that. But for me, he checks out. Get me an Isak Paredes. I want to make multiple moves. The time is now. Be a hero, Jerry. I mean, y'all know if you're a Mariners fan too. Like you're a legend if you win up here. We're kind of used to losers. Let's be real, especially the Mariners. You want to be a legend? I was talking about this last week, Blake. The Seahawks won the Super Bowl, and I was at the bars in an area of Seattle called Fremont. And for probably 2 hours after the game ended, we were still walking on the streets, high fiving and hugging complete strangers. Pete Carroll got like a 10-year pass on whatever the hell would happen because of winning that Super Bowl. Fucking do it, Jerry. Do it, baby. What's up, Indy?
Fuck yeah, dude. Do it. I mean, but if like going back to Luis Robert, his OPS would be the highest in our starting lineup if we acquired him today.
Oh.
804 OPS this year. I'm looking at our OPSs. Cal Riley 743, Ty France 679, Polanco 567. Makes me want to throw up in my mouth. JP Crawford 656, Rojas 681, Rayleigh 716, Julio 689, Haniger lowly 618, 804. That would be higher than every single person in our starting lineup. The only person that it wouldn't be higher than The only two people on our team that it would not be higher than in totality is Robles, or I don't know, I think that's how you say his name, and Revis. Those are the only two people on our team that it would not be higher than, and that's with a combined 36 at bats between those
Yeah.
two guys.
Super limited sample size. I'm huge on Robles though. I'm huge on Robles.
The Invisible Man. He said, "I agree with the Invisible Man. Throw some balls, man. Mariners."
And
Oh, we
I
got one
feel
webcam
Emmett
in here.
Brown. I feel you, Emmett, man. I feel you because as a Mariners fan, we're used to guys like Austin Jackson and Ben Broussard. Oh boy, you're blowing my skirt up with that type of shit, man. So I hear you, but I'm pounding the table. I know they care so much what I say, but you gotta have an opinion at some point, and I want to go for it, especially because I truly don't believe we're going to be able to keep this young core together 3 or 4 years from now. So that really sways my decision. If we had a budget like maybe the Mets or the Dodgers per se, I would be a little bit more guarded on pushing more all in right now because you have the budget to keep this window open longer. I don't know if realistically the Seattle Mariners will have the budget to retain all of these guys for this young core. So that really makes my mind more steadfast on trying to go for it now. We got the prospects. 8 in the top 100. And here's the other thing, Blake. I think three of those guys are shortstops. You don't play three shortstops. You dig? So we can have our cake and eat it. We can have our cake and frickin' eat it, bro.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you don't, yeah, you can't play three shortstops. That's yeah, that's crazy. So I mean, yeah, deal two shortstops. It sounds like that pitching is going to be solid in the farm for a little bit for you. You just picked up what looks like somebody pretty interested in the draft too. So I'm sure that you could deal some stuff there and help a team out who's short in pitching right now too, and give them a quality shortstop or so, maybe even two if you're willing to part with them. So it's just to get some, some big bat. Bladgy would be cool. Mason Miller would be cool out in Oakland. What are the A's really even doing these days? Like what are they even doing these days? So let's just let them prepare for their move and give the real teams a chance with some real players.
Amen. Amen. Well, we have been just getting after it right now, and it's hard not to. The Mariners we're going to be in a crazy race to the finish in the AL West. Me and RG referenced this a bunch, and you picked up on it also, Blake. Realistically, the only path for the Mariners to make the playoffs is to win the division. So it's freaking crucial. The last few years, it was a landscape in the American League where the wild card was very attainable, and we nabbed it once. We almost got it last year. It's not the case this year. We got to win the division. Oakland A's 37-61 with a negative 83 differential. Oh my lord, those poor people in Oakland. You know, they're trying to lose their way out of town apparently, even though it doesn't look like they have a permanent home. You know,
You
it's
want
been awesome
you want to
having
know
you, man.
something depressing? The Reds are 47-50 with a plus 38 run differential.
That's unbelievable.
Crazy. I mean, to be below 500 but up 38 runs, yeah, is wild. I don't know if that's more unbelievable or the Cardinals are up 4 games from 500 and they're down 38 runs in the differential.
Well, they'll probably come back to Earth. I can't remember what season it was, but a few to several years ago, man, the Mariners had a fantastic record, and our run differential was terrible, and we came back to Earth and plummeted. So there's a reason people pay attention to that. I do think that some fans and some analysts paid too much attention to it because a few to several blowouts can really skew your number, but there is absolutely validity to it on trying to predict a team's long-term outcome. So we'll give you that. I mean, there's no reason that the Reds couldn't be on a come up right now, but is it too little, too late? We'll see. What 60 to 65 games left for any given team, so
I just want it to be over before game 160 this year. That's when we got put out last year. So at least it kill me early if we're gonna do it. Let me prepare for next year, or let's get in this dang playoff and make some action happen.
Amen. It's the All-Star break, man, and baseball fans, we are all up in our feelings one way or another when we get to this time of the year. I am just really happy that Logan Gilbert and Andres Munoz both made the team. I kind of wish George Kirby did also, but that's just how it goes. Some guys get left out, and Kirby had kind of a rough start to the season for him and has really made a late charge, so that's probably part of the reason also. Is there anything else any of you want to touch on at this point?
I just want to shout out RG one more time and wish him a happy birthday, and just say that, looking forward to having him back on the show next week.
Hell yeah. What's up with you, Blake?
Nothing much. I'm just ready to close out this last series for the Reds, get into All-Star break, and then I am especially looking forward to some football coming up. We've got just five more Saturdays after next Saturday here, so we're right around the corner for college football pros coming up soon. Me and Indy were talking about going to see the Titans play Seahawks in the preseason game, first game over here in Nashville.
Oh,
So,
hell yeah.
I'm
Yes,
yeah, I'm
sir.
excited. I'm excited. Titans actually just picked up Jamal Adams
Good
recently.
luck with
Over there
that.
from Seattle. So, all right, yeah, we'll see. I hope that I hope he's something, for us. We needed a linebacker, and we were a little thin in safety. So I guess that's the best, both worlds. He can maybe do a little bit of both. I think he's more of a, pretend safety, but just plays a lot of downhill. So. If he can stay healthy and just add a little depth for us, that's all we need. This is more of a rebuild kind of anyway year, see what we got with Will Levis kind of year anyway. So that's what I'm looking forward to, is seeing what the Titans got with that. But first, it all starts with Levis. We got to see, he's got the receivers. Let's see what he does now.
I'm excited to have the
Amen.
first-hand look of Grubb's offense. And McDonald's defense. That'll be
Woo-hoo.
fucking awesome. I can't wait, dude. $20?
Man,
Sign
it's
me
gonna be
up.
so weird without Pete
I
Carroll. I
know.
mean, so
I
weird,
know.
I mean, it's just gonna be crazy. No, I don't. I feel like I don't know the Seahawks without Pete Carroll. It's just been so long.
Yeah. I mean, my entire adult life, Pete Carroll was the coach. The entirety of my adult life, he was the coach.
Yo, that's crazy, man.
It's insane. I was in the end of high school when he got hired. Yeah. I was going into my last year of high school when he got hired. No, second to last year. We won the Super Bowl my last year of high school. So
Oh shit, that's crazy.
So year two, it was Pete's year,
it was his
second
third
year
year
he won.
technically. So I
Oh,
was
third
wrong.
year.
He got
Oh,
hired
okay.
1 year before, but still, my
Okay,
he was
man.
hired before I was an adult. So I mean, he's pretty much all I know as the Seahawks coach too. So it'll be interesting to be there just to see the bare bones of what this new regime is going to be. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I hope that it's a Reds and Mariners World Series and a Titans and Seahawks Super Bowl, and we can split them each and go ahead and go home happy, both sides
You
here.
can have
I
the Super Bowl. I want the World Series.
Oh, you want the
I
you
want the
want the
World
World
Series. You can have
Series?
the Super Bowl,
Okay,
bro.
you want the World Series? I'll take the Super Bowl. We don't have one in Tennessee, so I'd like
Fair
that. I'll
trade
be
then.
down with that. Yeah, it's a
Fair
fair
trade.
trade. You don't have your World Series, and we don't have our Super Bowl. Let's go ahead and knock that out of the way. Let's take care of business.
Oh man. Think about
I
how
see you,
close you
Emmett.
were. How close were you?
Oh
Reaching,
yeah. Oh
Oh
no.
my
reaching,
No.
gosh. Oh yeah.
reaching.
Not even the distance from me to the computer. Yeah, not even that far.
Oh, that's crazy too.
Yeah.
That's one of the most memorable
Oh my
highlights for me.
gosh. Yep. I think that the Titans and the Seahawks probably have the most forgettable but should have been memorable play ever in Super Bowl history. The catch on the sideline that the Seahawks had before
Curse.
the pick was
Jermaine
absolutely
Curse.
dirty. Curse's catch was
Ah,
crazy. And then in '99, when McNair rolled out of the pocket over there and he was practically on the ground and managed to escape and throw a dart on 3rd and long to actually, convert on there. It was absolutely stupid. But then 1 yard short to Dyson on the next play. I mean, absolutely crazy. So both
heartbreak.
both of us should have won those games.
I'll just add,
Seahawks more though. I would say
rest in
that's more.
peace,
You have Marshawn Lynch in the backfield. You got to do something. And rest in peace, Steve McNair. Oh my
legend,
goodness, so sad.
legend.
Legend, man. Air McNair, just a country boy, man. He famously said he never worked out. He only got his strength from working out on a farm
No,
out there at Arkansas.
that's some good shit, dude. That's some good shit.
Yeah.
Well, we can share in pain for endings of Super Bowls, I guess, because those were possibly the two most iconic finishes to Super Bowls in NFL history. So I guess we got that in common.
Arguably.
And then I'm a dub this. If the Mariners and the Reds ever played in the World Series, I'm officially calling it the Lou Piniella Invitational.
Okay. The Lou Padella Invitational. That's funny. That reminds me. Grant Williams had the Mavs and the Celtics play in the finals this year, and he was going to get a ring no matter what. So that'd be funny. Yeah.
Well, it's been an absolute blast, fellas. It's been an absolute blast. We've been running our mouths for a while now, but you know what? We come up to the All-Star break and we always diagnose the week, but you get to the All-Star break and you got to diagnose everything that's happened. And I guess it's really more like the first 2/3, even though we say the halfway point, but it's really more like 2/3 of the way through the season. But I just want to give the biggest shout out to my unbelievable co-host RG. Happy, happy, happy damn birthday, brother. I miss you. I'm trying not to let the ship sink without you, but we do the best we can. And I really mean it. The happiest of birthdays, brother. Hopefully, you can get off the grind and get home in a relatively short amount of time. I want to give a huge shout out to my wife, Katie, who runs a lot of our social media type of stuff. I want to give a huge shout out to Miss Darby, the wonderful lady working with Indy, Vaden Podcast Services. Rep that, Vaden Podcast Services. They are the brains behind the op. I thank them so much for everything they do. Huge shout out, Blake. Congrats to your Tennessee Volunteers pulling that chip down out there. Are they in Nashville? What city is it?
Knoxville.
I
So
damn it.
it's about 2.5 hours east of Nashville. Yep.
I knew it
No,
too.
Vanderbilt's in Nashville. Yep.
Damn it.
Yeah.
Shout out to, of course, the live chat line. MWO Emmett Brown bringing it. Munoz World Order. Ow! For y'all don't know, that's NWO Wolfpack, but hey, I'm a kid born in the 80s, grew up in the 90s. You know what time it is. Thank you to Sunday Evening Media. Perfect episode for your car ride. I can't emphasize this enough. We want to be the most interactive show in the game. Y'all come on the chat line. You drop knowledge. You give us ideas. We absolutely love each and every one of you. Slide up in those DMs. My oh my ASP, Insta, Facebook, TikTok, whatever platform, you name it, because we want you in the chair where Blake is. We truly mean it, and y'all see different guests on the reg, so please join us and be a part of this thing. On Tie Talks 24, man. Mariners, we're one game ahead going into the All-Star break. Let's turn this shit up, man. Turn this thing up full blast and let's get after it, baby. My, oh my, it's another sports podcast. Get at us, people.